Snow fell softly on the quiet streets of Millbrook, covering the small town with a deceptive calm. Christmas lights twinkled on the eaves and in the windows, their cheerful glow at odds with the chill that permeated the night air. Most residents were sitting in their homes, enjoying the family warmth and festivities. Officer Sarah Reeves patrolled the empty streets, the headlights of her cruiser cutting through the blowing flakes of snow. The radio came to life. All units, a disturbance has been reported at 1414 Elm Street. Possible break-in. Sarah gripped the steering wheel tighter with her gloved hand, turning toward Elm. The Johnsons lived there, a young couple with twin girls. She'd seen them at the grocery store yesterday, and the girls were excited about Santa's upcoming visit. Pulling up to the house, Sarah turned off the siren, but left the headlights flashing. Something wasn't right. The front door stood ajar, red stains marring the white wood. Her breath caught as she radioed for backup. Drawing her weapon, Sarah approached cautiously. The crunch of her boots on the snow seemed deafening in the silence. She pushed the door wide, revealing a scene of holiday cheer that had gone horribly awry. The Christmas tree had been knocked over, ornaments scattered across the floor. Gifts were lying everywhere, their wrappers torn and stained. And there, by the fireplace, awaited a terrible picture. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson sat in armchairs, their lifeless eyes staring off into the distance. Their faces were carved with rude smiles, stretched from ear to ear in a forced, cheerful grin. Sarah's stomach churned as she glimpsed the makeup smeared across their faces. White grease paint, red lips, exaggerated eyebrows. A childish laugh came from above, followed by a deeper and more sinister giggle. Sarah's blood ran cold as she recognized the sound, not quite human, more like the sound of a circus horn. "Hello, officer," came a sing-song voice from behind her back. "Want to play?" Sarah flinched, finding herself face to face with a nightmare. A clown stood before her, his costume splattered with blood, an evil glint burning in his eyes. In one hand, he held a jagged piece of broken mirror, in the other, a handful of colorful balloons. "Where are the girl?" demanded Sarah, pointing the gun at the chest of the intruder. The clown's drawn grin widened. "Oh, they're having a wonderful time. It is Christmas after all. Would you like to join our little party?" Sarah's finger clenched on the trigger. "Step away from the balloons and raise your hands where I can see them." Instead, the clown let go of the balloons. They flew lazily toward the ceiling, and he lunged forward with impossible speed. Sarah fired, but the clown seemed to dance between the bullets. Before she could react, he was on top of her. A shard of mirror hit her in the side, and she howled in pain. Sarah stumbled, her vision blurred. The clown's face loomed over her, his laughter mingling with the hushed sound of approaching sirens. "Why?" Sarah gasped, clutching her wound. The clown tilted his head, contemplating. "Why not? Laughter is the best medicine, they say. And this town, in this world, needs to learn to laugh again." As consciousness slowly slipped away, Sarah heard footsteps on the stairs. The twins appeared, their faces painted to look like clowns, indifferent smiles shining on them. "It's time to go, my little elves," the clown chirped. "We have many more houses to visit today." Sarah's world went dark as soon as the front door slammed shut. Hours later, she woke up in a hospital bed to the steady beeping of monitors. A grim-faced detective stood nearby, clutching a handful of papers in his hands. "Officer Reeves," he said softly, "I'm glad you're awake. We need your help." Sarah struggled to sit up, writhing against the pain in her side. "Clown? Girls," Sarah urged. The expression on the detective's face darkened. "Gone. But they left something behind." He picked up one of the papers, a crude crayon drawing of a clown surrounded by figures wearing Santa Claus hats. "We found this in 5 other houses, in all the families." He fell silent, unable to finish. A thought flashed through Sarah's mind. 5 more houses. How many more before dawn? "That's not all," the detective continued. "We found this pin to the Johnsons' tree." He pulled out a bloody business card. The skillfully written inscription read, "The Yuletide Carnival is in a town near you. Don't forget to smile." Sarah closed her eyes, fighting waves of nausea and guilt. Carnival. She remembered. A month ago, it had passed through town and closed amid rumors of missing children and strange occurrences. They'd investigated and found nothing concrete. How could they have been so blind? "We'll find him," the detective assured her, but there was no conviction in his voice. In the run-up to Christmas, a new kind of terror was spreading across the country, festooned with tinsel and colors, promising deadly denouements and an ending that would change the world forever. Suddenly, the television in the hospital room came to life, interrupting the cheerful holiday program. An image of a painted clown's face with an unnaturally wide smile appeared on the screen. "Ho, ho, ho, boys and girls," came the clown's voice like a parody of Santa Claus. "It's time for a special Christmas message." Sarah struggled to sit up, her heart pounding. The detective fumbled with his radio to monitor the broadcast. The camera panned around and showed a warehouse filled with children. Their faces were painted like a clown's, their eyes blank and their smiles immobile. Among them, Sarah recognized the Johnson twins. "You see, children," the clown continued, "Christmas is a festival of joy. And what brings more joy than laughter?" He gestured to the big red button beside him. "So let's give everyone a smile." Sarah was horrified as she realized what was about to happen. "No!" she screamed, but it was too late. The clown pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one by one, the children began to laugh. At first it was giggles, then it turned into hysterical cackling. Their painted smiles grew wider, the corners of their mouths bled, and they laughed and laughed, unable to stop. The broadcast interrupted, replaced by emergency reports. Reports came in from all over the country, children everywhere, their faces painted like clowns and laughing to death. Sarah snatched up the IV and stumbled out of bed. "We have to stop this," she gasped. The detective caught her as she was falling. "It's too late," he whispered with tears in his eyes. "It's everywhere." Outside, cars honked and sirens wailed. But above it all, laughter could be heard, growing louder by the second. Sarah sank to her knees, the weight of failure weighing down on her. She had sworn to protect, but now the world was plunged into a nightmare of forced laughter and death. As the laughter reached a deafening peak, the hospital's speaker system came to life. The clown's voice, now grim, uttered the last sentence. "Why is everyone so serious? After all, laughter is contagious." The lights flickered and went out, plunging the world into darkness. At that moment, Sarah realized the horror of what was happening. This wasn't just a murder. It was the beginning of the apocalypse, heralded by the sounds of laughter and the painted smile of a psychotic clown. The last thing Sarah heard before the laughter consumed her was the distant blast of a carnival horn announcing the last act in the tragic comedy of humanity.